Are your hair care practices lit or lame? I'm here today with Diane Bailey, and we're going to talk about the epidemic of hair loss in our community. Hey Shea family, I'm Wani, and you're watching Shea Moisture TV. I'm joined here today with Diane Bailey. Diane is a veteran in the natural hair community. She's also a Shea Moisture ambassador. And we're going to talk about something that's pretty dear to all women, and it's hair loss. And hair loss, specifically to the African American community, has become an epidemic. So Diane is here today to kind of talk to us about it. Diane is a hairstylist. And Diane, you know I love you, and I'm so happy every time you come and join us on set.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
So Diane, what are some of the things that we're doing that is causing this? Why is it an epidemic? Why is hair loss an epidemic in our community?
It's not just specifically hair loss. We need to talk about something really, really important. There's something that we call traction alopecia, and that is hair loss due to extreme pulling and stress on the hair follicle and on the hair shaft.
Okay.
And what that does is, with the services that we get, some of the services that we get, like braiding, weaving, wearing wigs, heavy ponytails, actually put a lot of pressure on the hair. And if we do it repeatedly over and over, eventually the hair comes out and pulls the hair out, and it also pulls out the follicle as well.
So the epidemic is what we're saying, traction alopecia.
Yes.
Which is braiding the hair too tight.
Too much pressure, pulling in the hair, pulling on the hair repeatedly. Doing it one time is not going to do it. It's the succession of it over and over, maybe years and years of doing the same behavior. The hair eventually gets pulled out.
Okay. So you're a hairstylist,
Yeah.
and how many clients do you see on average? Would you say you see a month?
If I see 100 people in a month, at least 40 or 50 of them have some type or some exposure, have been exposed to traction alopecia. Yes.
Wow, that's significant.
Only because it's part of our cultural aesthetics.
Got it.
Wearing our hair braided is our
Yes.
cultural aesthetics. Wearing our hair in wraps and weaves, wearing locks. People with locks think that they can't get traction alopecia. They can get traction alopecia as well, because they are grooming the hair and pulling the hair so tight, and wearing their hair braided so tight, and maybe wearing it in a knot for 2 or 3 weeks at a time without giving it any relief. And so people with natural hair and locks also can get traction alopecia as well.
So are you telling me that I should stop wearing braids? What are you saying? What exactly are you saying?
What I'm saying is modify your behavior, not as frequently as you might want to. And then if you decide that you do want to, then maybe only wear the braids for a shorter period of time, treating it, giving it a good mask treatment and good hydration treatments, and then going back into another style, maybe a style less stressful, and maybe one without heavy extensions.
Okay, because the weight of the extension contributes to this sort of pulling of the hair?
Very often, a lot of the styles, a lot of the bigger, bolder styles, the heavier styles, they'll add 6 or 7 or 8 packs of hair for one particular style, and that's a lot of weight on the follicle.
Head.
That's right, it's a lot. And then if you put it up in a bun, or you put it in a knot, or you wear a ponytail, that's even more pulling. And so the edges start to, and you can feel it. You can feel it. In some cases, some people get headaches after they have their hair braided. Other people might get some kind of irritation around the front of the hairline. One woman actually felt her hair throbbing when she got her hair braided, because all the blood was kind of rushing to her scalp, because it was, the body kind of heals itself when it feels like it's being attacked. And so it is important that if you go to a professional hairstylist or if you go to a professional braider, that they understand your hair and that they realize that your head is not without blood and without feelings. You need to modify the behavior.
So if you go to a hairstylist and they're braiding on your hair, or let's talk about braids first of all, because a lot of times women go to these hair salons, they get their hair braided, they know it's tight, they feel it, they have a headache, whatever. Is it something that that I have to take this style out to avoid it, or is it something I just power through and I'm gonna be okay?
No, I feel like once you know that first braid is too tight, it's time for you to tell that person that braid is too tight while they're doing it. Let them modify their behavior so it's not so tight. You know, I've been wearing braids off and on all my life, and one of the things that I am very direct about is I do not want to be uncomfortable, and no one should be uncomfortable getting a service or providing a service. So if I'm getting a hair service, It should not be uncomfortable. I should not be in pain. I should not have to take an aspirin after I get my hair done because my head is throbbing because it's so much pressure from the cornrows or from the flat twist or from whatever extensions you might wear or weave. Many times people believe like if I put it in tight, it's going to last longer. Or they believe that, oh, that's the only way that it can be done. It has to be tight. No, that is not the only way it can be done.
That's true.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll get that where the hairstylist will say, well, if I don't grab all the hairs, it doesn't look good, right? So you sacrifice sort of style for the health of your hair.
And that should not be. That should not be. If you have to get every piece of hair on your head to make a style look good, then something's wrong. It shouldn't be so tight and so pulling and so and uncomfortable. And it's, you know, many women say, oh, after I you know, get my hair weaved, you know, because a lot of times there are different levels to the weave. They might have a cap or maybe some kind of netting over it, so their hair is braided and then a netting is sewn on top of that, and then on top of that the tracks are put on. So there are many different pieces to the weave that have to be done, and each time they're doing it, it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And my issue is, even with professionals, that they need to be aware that healthy hair starts with you and the practice that you service the person with. And if you have...
Got it. And then I guess also a lot of it has to do with you as the individual, right? Understanding. I always feel that, you know, you have to know yourself better than your hairstylist, right? The hairstylist is not in your skin. They can't feel how tight it is. They're doing what they think is right. And if something is tight or uncomfortable, you have to be the voice that says, okay, this is too tight, this is too uncomfortable, right?
And once you know something, you can't unknow it. Like once you know that this is how traction alopecia begins, then you can't unknow the fact that this is going to be a problem down the road if you continue being serviced in this way, or you continue wearing your hair in this fashion. Also too, another thing that people need to think about, if you already have traction alopecia, because many of us do, if you already have traction alopecia, one of the things that you need to start doing is you need to go to a dermatologist. You need to go to a professional doctor who specializes in scalp disorders and diseases, because this is a disorder. This is not right. It is not supposed, just because your grandmother had it and your mother had it, doesn't mean you have to have it. This can be avoided. And the only way to heal the situation once you have it is immediately go to a dermatologist.
So how do I know if I have it? How do I know I have traction alopecia?
Well, you will know if you continue the behavior and you see your hairline receding. You'll know if you start to see like bumps when you get braids, bumps coming up. That means the follicle has been stressed out. You'll know by the fact that your hairstyle is changing or your parts are getting larger, like if you part your hair and you see that, oh, this part is getting larger, or if you try to wear a bang, or if you want to wear your hair back when you've already always worn your hair forward and you try to wear it back and your edges are gone. that's traction alopecia. And
Well,
it's
that's
also
something that has to be diagnosed, right?
not necessarily. You
Okay.
know also too, because the skin
What if
gets.
it's another type of hair loss?
It could be another type of hair loss, and you do need to get diagnosed. But you'll know, you know your hairline. You
So
know.
if I notice my hairline changing,
Changing.
meaning whether it's receding, I notice hair loss, it may not necessarily be traction alopecia.
It may not
There
be.
is some hair loss, something happening.
Yes, something's
Go
going
to
on.
my dermatologist, who will then be able to tell me, Wani, this is what you're experiencing.
Exactly.
Okay.
The dermatologist is the person that's going to give you the scientific rationale and the reasons why this behavior is happening. The stylist can only give you the aesthetics.
Right, so they're seeing it, they're saying, hey, you know.
Something is wrong, I'm looking at it, this is not right. If a stylist sees that, they should tell the client. Many stylists don't even recognize traction alopecia. They feel like it's normal, that the person's hairline is receding because they're aging, or because they're pregnant, or because of whatever thing they made up in their head. But that necessarily is not true. What the stylist is there to do is to help her create a healthy lifestyle while beautifying her.
Right.
If the lifestyle is not healthy, it's not worth it. It's not
but
worth it.
All those stages in your life, you talked about pregnancy, you talk about aging, you talk about even stress. Our body changes, things happen in our life.
Absolutely.
Does that impact our hair?
Absolutely.
Can that impact the health?
Impact the health of our hair?
Absolutely. All of those things are different types of manifestations of balding and hair thinning. That's not specifically addressing traction alopecia. Those are other types of hair loss that we can talk about at another time. But specifically, one of the reasons why we're talking about traction alopecia is because we can manage traction alopecia.
Got it.
We can do something about it. It's not out of our control not to manage it. Certain things are out of our control. Our hormones are out of our control. Our heredity is out of our control. But traction alopecia is something that we can manage once we stop the behavior.
Meaning stop getting as many braids. But now if I have dreads.
Or switch up. If I'm wearing my hair cornrows for 3 months, then another 3 months I might leave it out. Or another 3 months I might wear a wig. Or I might just condition my hair weekly with one of our masks and treat it really kindly for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Change the behavior. Don't just keep doing it over and over and over and over. I knew a woman.
You're doing a lot of stress.
You're doing a lot of stress. And I knew a woman who wore a weave for 20 years.
How is that possible?
How is that possible?
No, seriously, how does someone
I would
weave for
20
I mean,
years.
They never went to the
They
hairstylist
never.
and they didn't.
No,
You
she
mean
was.
she just kept
She kept
recycling
recycling.
that hairstyle?
That's
Okay.
right. She kept recycling that hairstyle over and over because that was her signature hairstyle.
Got it.
That was the style that everybody recognized. That was her branding. And and she didn't want to change it. Like, if she changed it, the world would come to an end or something. However, when she decided finally, because she had long hair, when she decided to finally go natural and take the journey of natural, she had to take the weave out.
Okay.
And guess what?
She had no hair?
She had no hairline.
She had no hairline.
Her whole hairline was gone. Like, I would say a good ½ an inch of her hairline was smooth, like my hand. Smooth. The one thing I can recommend to her is to go to a dermatologist because I felt like some of it was scarred, meaning that there would be no hair growing through that because the hair was actually, the papilla was pulled out and scarred over. But some of it was vital.
Okay.
Some of it was alive and some of it can grow back.
Okay. What are you telling me? Like some women, I mean, that's their hairstyle. They like this weave. That's their look,
I understand.
And so what are you saying, that now I have to switch it up every now and then, or?
I'm saying that you need to change your lifestyle a little bit so that you can have healthier hair. See, going natural doesn't mean necessarily wearing a wig or a weave. It's a part of the natural spectrum, but there are many things you can do within that spectrum so that your hair can stay natural and healthy. And I understand that you want to the convenience of a
You
wig.
wanna look good,
And you
right?
want the
You want
convenience
that.
also. You don't want to have to
Yes,
get up in the morning. Let's
convenience.
face it. You want the convenience of wearing a wig. You want the convenience of, I love my extensions. I love the conventional. I like the convenience of it.
Right.
But I know I cannot wear this for 20 years. I know that only because I've seen people who do it, and I know that the hair atrophies and gets weak and eventually does not return because of it. So you have to do different things. You have to give yourself hot oil treatments. Another thing about wearing a wig or a weave, you're not shampooing and conditioning regularly because you don't want to disturb the base of your wig or your weave, right?
So you're saying that let's say your weave lasts about what, 6 to 8 weeks? That's
6
not
to 8
enough?
weeks,
That's
right?
not enough in between those.
And people
weave
are not, and
appointments?
they're not hydrating their wigs. That's
That's what I'm saying.
They're not
You think
hydrating.
6 to 8 weeks is not enough in between my weave appointment. Can I not get that hydration till I do the next one?
You can get the hydration, but you're not going to get it the way you need to get it if you continue it all the time. Yes, every now and then you hydrate your hair while your weave is in. But to really get the whole strand, to really get the scalp the way it needs to be addressed, yes, you need to treat it well. You need to treat it good. I mean, we have products that you can use for refreshing, but that's not the same thing as cleansing.
Got it. So it's still the idea of like, I get my weave for a period. It's a temporary hairstyle. It shouldn't be a permanent hairstyle because it impacts the health of your scalp. You're not able to access the scalp. The scalp doesn't have.
And you have so many choices. You have a wide variety of choices that people can use to switch it up. For example, I even see traction alopecia in the Latino community because they wear their hair pulled back a lot in ponytails. So, and some ballerinas, they have to wear their hair back a lot because they're performing. And they too have traction alopecia because the ponytail pulls on the hair and they're brushing the edges back all the time. So this hair is also being abused because of the behavior. So you have to switch it up again. You have to maybe wear your hair out. Do not wear the ponytail. Maybe get ponytail holders with cloth that don't pull the hair out. Or maybe just don't wear it so tight.
Maybe not put gel that day.
Maybe not put gel that day. Maybe if it gets a little frizzy, it's okay because I know if it gets frizzy, my hair is responding to the environment the way it should. Well, versus being so taut all the time. What about the women who wear their hair so tight when they finally take the bandana off, they have a headache?
Yes.
Like that, if you have a headache after a hairstyle, that's your body telling you something is imbalanced, that something is not right. And you're not listening to your body, you're just going on as though it's normal. Oh, it's normal that I have a headache every time I have a ponytail. No, it is not. And we talked about young children. It starts when they're 4 or 5, when their mothers are plaiting their hair, and they're putting the little bobos, the little barrettes, or the little rubber accessories in their hair, and they're going over and they want it to be tight because they want it to last for the day or whatever, and they go in and they pull the hair, and they stretch the hair, and they put it in these elastic bands, and for the whole day, the child's hair is being pulled over and over again.
I also know a lot of kids that actually sleep with their hair tied, so it's like their hair is tied at school, and then when they come home, because the mother may not want to do the hair the next day, they actually sleep with their hair tied. Does that kind of contribute to
Absolutely.
sort of stress?
Absolutely. That is the beginning of the behavior that contributes to traction alopecia. So yes, you want your daughter's hair to be neat, but not to the extent where every follicle, every strand, every shaft is laid to the gods, as they would say.
Right.
It has to puff up. It needs hydration. It has to kind of go back into its curl. It has to go back into its natural state, actually, so that it can replenish itself, and the scalp. Because the scalp is being denied something too. It's being stretched. It's like a muscle being stretched all the time. And what happens to that muscle? It gets worn out. It hurts. And you're hurting the children. I've seen mothers actually hurt their kids trying to pull that hair straight.
So would a good behavior be I put my kid's hair, my daughter's hair in bobos, 2 plaits, let's say, and then when she comes home after school, I sort of loosen that up and then give it a chance to breathe.
Absolutely.
And then put that back in the next day.
Absolutely.
Maybe
I would
on the
even
weekends,
I would even say
just-
if you want to, find styles that you don't have to do every day or refreshing every day. Nice.
Well, isn't that some of the problem? That's what I'm saying, because I know like a lot of my friends who
But
have
not with the
daughters,
bobos, not with the
they
bobos.
braid the daughter's hair all the time.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that contribute to the same?
Yeah, that
or
does-
is it just how tight it is? Because I know in Africa, a lot of the girls wear their hair braided, naturally braided, without extensions. That's a normal hairstyle for children. Braiding their
braiding,
hair.
yes.
Braiding grows the hair.
Yeah.
When you braid the hair, my hair grows a lot when you're braiding it because you're not
Manipulating.
manipulating it, you're not breaking it, it's not breaking, but you take it out, you wash it, condition it, and then you put it back in
So
the
isn't it
frame.
ironic? The thing that grows your hair is the thing that's contributing to the traction alopecia.
So then that's what I'm trying to understand.
So here we
What
have
is the what
the balance, the balance.
What's the tipping point to make it from a healthy practice to an unhealthy practice? What's the tipping point?
The tipping point is repetition.
Okay.
Repetition, that's the tipping point. If you do something over and over and over and over and over, eventually the hair is going to weaken, get fragile, and diminish its health. What you need to do is rotate the styles. I'm not saying don't do the bobos. I'm saying if you do the bobos and you do tight curls, let it release it.
Okay.
And release it.
Or are you saying change the style one day it's
And
cross, one day it's
yeah,
back?
even one day,
Okay.
every 2 or 3 days. Like I would do my daughter's hair twice a week. I wouldn't do my daughter's hair every couple of days because less is more. The less you do to our hair, the better. That's why we like cornrows. That's why we like our braids. However, you still need to nourish it. You still need to moisturize it. You still need to hydrate it, and then you need to elevate the service or provide something for your child or yourself that gives it a little bit of variety, not the same thing over and over.
Okay, so it is braid the hair.
Braid the hair safely.
We're not saying give up braids.
Nope.
We're not talking about giving up weaves.
Nope.
We're just saying braid your hair, give it time to also breathe, give it time to treat it as well, treat it, not just constantly keep it in a state of where it's not allowed to be in its natural state.
You have many options. The choices in the natural hair umbrella is huge. You do not have to repeat the same styles over and over, particularly when you start to see your hairline thinning and breakage. Then you know you need to do something different. It's not working. So you need to find another regime, something practical that you can do, finding the right moisturizers, keeping it hydrated, because again, braids, if they're not done right, there's no elasticity. So you want to do things that give it elasticity so there is no breakage.
Yeah, but breakage is normal for hair.
Breakage is not normal when
I
you...
mean, hair breaks.
Hair breaks, yes, but there are different types of breakage, and the breakage that we're talking about is breakage forced because of poor services and bad hair.
Right, and
care.
I'm just saying I shouldn't start freaking out if my hair is just, when I comb my hair, it sheds,
It sheds,
and breakage is different than shedding?
yes.
Okay. Shedding is what? What is shedding?
The hair has a life expectancy. They have different stages in the hair, in the hair lifespan. Okay, in the hair lifespan, there's a time when it's growing, and there's a time when it's shedding, and that's normal. That's the normal life of hair.
Okay.
However,
so it starts and then it ends.
Yes.
And it sheds.
it sheds and then it comes back, and another hair replaces it. And then when that hair goes through its lifespan, another hair is behind it to replace that. So that's the normal cycle. Okay. And there's a resting phase in the middle of that. So a hair can last 7-8 years for one strand of hair to last, and then eventually it goes through its shedding phase, and then it goes out.
Okay.
However, there is
When I'm talking about when I'm talking about length, retention, and breakage and shedding, so shedding is that the normal process of the hair. Your hair goes through this life cycle, it sheds. When you comb it, you'll see some hair coming out. That's really normal, right?
Yes, about 100 strands per day.
Then there's breakage. It's because either my hair is dry. What's
Breakage?
what?
Breakage is usually due to some kind of internal or external stress, whether it's from brushing, combing, heat, some type of damage. And that doesn't mean it starts in the scalp. It usually starts somewhere in the shaft, where the shaft gets broken, there's some split ends, and it breaks.
Got it. And then there's hair loss.
Right?
And then there's the big subject of hair loss.
Right, which is then the third extreme, or the extreme where there's either something that you're actually doing that's causing it. For example, we just talked about the traction alopecia, or you have other medical problems as well, right?
Right. You might have a medical problem, and there's at least 15 to 20 scalp disorders around alopecia. Alopecia just means balding, and there are different types of balding. And the one that we are concerned around right now in our community is the traction, because traction...
Those are the ones that we can control.
We can control that. We can control that. That is self-inflicted. And if we can get better hair services, understand our body better, not get so caught up in the aesthetics of long hair or hair that we've been seen in for long times, so that we can switch it up, then your hair will stay healthier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, I know that obviously if my hair is thinning and I'm not going to be comfortable wearing it, especially if I'm thinning it out because of the hairstyles that I choose, and it's continuing to thin, I'm actually increasing the need for the wig or the weave or the whatever, right? So that cycle seems like almost like a vicious type of cycle.
It's a catch-22 kind of scenario. Like, the more you do, the worse it gets. So at this point, you have to commit. Do you want healthy hair, or do you just want to cover it up? If you want healthy hair and you need the assistance of a dermatologist to see what exactly is the issue. And then you need to find not just a hairstylist, but a hair care specialist like myself that could help you create hairstyles that will replenish your hair, provide you with services and product that will help to stimulate and to nourish. And then you yourself have to go home and practice, the hair care that prescribed by the stylist and by the dermatologist.
By your dermatologist.
And by your stylist. Yes.
You get the regular treatments, whether it be, are some of the products that we use, do they contribute to some of our hair loss? We care about natural ingredients, things, we talk about that all the time. We have no sulfates, all of that. Can products that, does that help in terms of the hair health? The types of products that you use contribute to the health?
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the things about the Shea Moisture collections that we have, they all benefit your lifestyle. So they're there to nourish, to replenish, to hydrate, to moisturize, and to kind of affirm you in a way so that your body is getting what it can receive. A lot of the synthetic products that are out there, the body doesn't receive it well. It doesn't really help. It might look cosmetically fine, but the body is not getting healed by it. It's just like a Band-Aid you're just putting over it.
Right.
It's not really nourishing, it's not really replenishing, and it's not really healing.
Yeah. Everybody now and then uses synthetic products. You like the acrylic nails, you like it's fun, but you also have to just understand that in moderation, these things, or that your body also needs a resting period.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the also thing, there's a consciousness around food and health,
Yes.
and living well, and beauty and wellness are now integrated together, so that when you say that a person looked healthy, you're saying they look beautiful. So if your hair is not healthy, then it can't possibly be beautiful. You know what I mean? So if you're striving and you're spending money and time beautifying yourself with something that doesn't give anything back to you, you're really wasting your money and your time, because at the end of the day, you're just going to have nothing. So that's why it's important to use products that replenish, that nourish, that give something back, and at the end of the day, you're going to be healthier for it, and there's not any side effects to almond oil or coconut oil or shea butter. There's no side effects to that. However, there are side effects to other, products that are man-made that are not, natural in its origin, and you get very little from that. Yeah.
So we're talking about, this braiding and tightening. I have a kid. I want to comb her hair because she doesn't look good otherwise. Am I going to just let her go with uncombed hair?
See, this uncombed hair perception, when your hair is natural, then it's uncombed or unkept, and that is the mislogic of it. Your hair can still be natural and still be well kept. And yes, if you have a 5-year-old and she wants to wear her hair out and she wants to just wear her hair open, let her wear her hair open. This is an opportunity for her to get to know her hair. This is an opportunity for her to get to feel the texture of it and to embrace her natural hair. And so yeah, I would do that. I would definitely allow my daughter to wear her hair out.
So it's okay some Sundays to go to church with your hair out?
I love it. Put a bow in it, put some barrettes in it, maybe a clip or something that she likes to make her feel beautiful, and let her be free and just wear it natural. Spray it with some moisturizers, maybe hydrate it with a lotion or a leave-in conditioner, and let it just be free for a day or two. Why not?
I like that.
Why not?
And then it'll be easy on mommy that day, right? No crying to comb their hair.
Or you know what? You've braided her hair for 2 weeks, so unbraid it and let her wear a braid out, and let her wear her hair out with texture. Or maybe just loosen it up a little bit. Don't, let the back stay open and just leave the front braided, or leave the front braided and wear it up. It's so many options for young little girls now. You don't have to restrict them like we were restricted.
Right, and I think learning to having our hair out is sort of the steps to appreciating and loving it for the way that it is, instead of always trying to manipulate it, straighten it, blow it. Learn to love it as it is, in its natural state, in its natural form.
Right, and learn to appreciate the differences that you might have with other people in your family. You might have a brother and sister that have a different hair type, but you didn't even know that because you never allowed your hair to be in its natural state. So now you're 35 years old, and now you're finally appreciating the diversity and the range of texture your hair has, only because you were denied the right to express yourself in that way. So now you have the right, and you have the options, and you have the products, and now you can have fun.
Yeah. And so what about all the haters who call people out when their hair is wild, or not wild, but what about to all the haters who call out people when they have pictures of their hair unkept?
Well,
clean but unkept.
Yeah, well, you're always going to have a few haters. You're always going to have someone to define what is beautiful. But beauty has its own range. There's no beginning and end. Everyone should value the differences. Right. And allow people to express those differences, and that to me is what's happening right now.
I like that. We could talk on and on about this topic, right?
I think
it. Diane, you have to come and do a Facebook Live with us on this topic. I don't know if you guys want to hear this. I know I have so many questions, and we will maybe in January you can come do a Facebook Live with us.
Yeah.
And Shea family, let us know if you want to hear more about this topic of hair loss or hair attraction alopecia. I think we set something up in January. We'll get Diane, we'll get some doctors in our community, and we'll open it up to the Shea family. You can ask questions, anything you want to. If you're dealing with this situation, hair loss. I know it can be sometimes painful and lonely.
Yeah,
and
no, it is lonely and it's sad, and people are scared to they're scared to change. However, if you find the right dermatologist and the right hairstylist, you know, you'll have the support you need to make those changes, because it can be, you know, it can be scary, you know, to come out and kind of do something you've never done before.
Yeah, I mean, I completely.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
It is a scary thing when our beauty is tied. A lot of beauty people tie it to the hair and the way that we look, and our confidence, we get that from the way we look.
And we need the support from the community.
Yeah.
We need the support from each other. We need to affirm each other in ways that nourish the body and the mind, and not just create a hairstyle, you know, for those, you know, 2 weeks or those 3 weeks. Does it replenish the hair and scalp? That's the question.
All right. Thank you so much for coming. And Shea family, thanks for watching. Follow the Shea Moisture TV on YouTube. Leave us your comments for me or for Diane. Diane, where can they find you? Where?
Oh, Diane C. Bailey on Instagram and Diane C. Bailey on Facebook.
All right. Be well and have a safe holiday.